I'm the utility chair. For those of you who haven't been to these meetings, I'm your utility chair. This is your utility committee. We've got Sally and Stacy. I know your name. Chris. Chris and Mark here from the utility department. So we'll go ahead and move on. So first thing we'll have is the August 9th meeting minutes. I don't think we have anything in front, but or like we don't have any printouts or anything. Is that but and that's okay.
Gosh, no, I forgot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But this was in the packet. Does anybody have? I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes unless anybody has any.
I would so move.
Second.
Okay. Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much. We're going to get those up, and then we'll go move on to item number 4, moving right along to the financial updates. Stacy.
Okay, so the first slide shows the usage and revenues. The first 2 columns is the 2 prior years. Then we have a column that shows July and August of last fiscal year, and then July of August of this current fiscal year. So electric kilowatt hours billed out is at 9.5 million. That is down compared to the same time frame as last year. Electric revenues billed is a little over 1.3 million, with 51,000 of that being the availability fee. Electric revenues collected year to date is a little over 1.1 million. Water consumption, we have billed out 23.5 million gallons. That's down compared to the same time frame as last year. Water revenues billed is at 148,000, with 26,400 of that being the base rate. So year to date, we have collected 143,000 of the water revenues. On sewer consumption, we billed out around 21.2 million gallons. Sewer revenue billed is at almost 200,000, with 25,500 of that being the base rate. And then sewer revenues we've collected year to date, 183,000.
Quite a drop. Just a comment.
Is this due to a population decrease?
I don't know.
Or, I mean, I know there's weather problems always associated with it.
I did run a report of the amount we billed last year compared to this year, and it was pretty comparable.
So when we look at number of citizens with
That
homes,
counts
it's
still
about the same.
It's like a 10% decrease.
Yeah.
So that's people being a little more conservative because the prices are high.
That's what I
It's likely.
maybe, and it's not been real dry. I don't know if people's not watering their lawns maybe as often, or. And this is just a look at the electric summary. So the top section there is the revenues. And again, it shows the 2 prior years actuals and then July through August of last fiscal year. Then the next column is what we budgeted for this fiscal year, and the highlighted column is this fiscal year, year to date through August 31st. So total revenues, so far we're at a little over 1.4 million. The overall expenditures year to date are almost at 952,000. Brings us with a surplus of 484,000 year to date. Then the next few slides is the details within those numbers. It kind of breaks it out a little further.
I just have one question.
Yes.
The miscellaneous, total miscellaneous, it's like we budgeted for.
On the revenues?
Yeah, on the revenues, I'm sorry.
That is, we received, we had to order some wire for McDonald's.
Yeah, and that was
They reimbursed
reimbursed.
us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that probably, was that last year and then it showed up this year? And
We've actually paid the expense side of it yet.
Oh, okay.
We paid up front.
Okay.
Then on some of the, this shows the details within each category. category. There are a few expenditure lines that are showing high for this time of the year. Some of those are one-time payments for the year, such as general insurance.
Yeah, that's still very,
Here's
very
expenditure.
expenditure, so.
Work comp, we pay one time, I think we have 2 payments a year that we pay. So it's gonna show high.
Nothing crazy though.
One thing I'd like to make mention of, right now, the market for electrical supplies is very unpredictable, and the costs are going up dramatically. I'm guessing maybe due to hurricanes and other natural disasters. If we can get supplies, the prices are really going up.
So that was reflected when you talked about the installation of lights with a pole being twice the cost.
Yeah, across the board, all electrical supplies is considerable.
Yeah, I think, a couple weeks ago, we got a quote on some electrical supplies. Within just a week, it went up 20%. So it's crazy.
And just recently, right, Mark, we had one quote where they'd only hold it for 24 hours. The price of
Right.
it. So,
It's a
which of
quick
course not
turn.
fast enough
Yeah,
for
I was
us
like, that's
to
a quick
act
turn.
on,
Right.
yeah.
Let's go down a little bit more to the electric reserve fund. Right here. There's not been much activity here. We just, there was one expense for $3,600 for a couple transformers that we had purchased. Other than that, there's really no activity in the reserve fund at this point.
I'd like to ask one question on transformers. I know there's a number of poles that have like 3 transformers on it. Where I lived on the corner where the garage is, there's 3 transformers on it. I was told that that was due to an elevator in the house that was just south of me, and therefore they had a 3-phase elevator, and that's why that transformer's there. Do we have poles in our community with transformers that are hanging doing nothing, that could be utilized instead of purchasing new?
The guys have took a lot of those down that we had, and we've sent them off and had them rebuilt. We can rebuild a transformer for a fraction of the cost, so we can buy a new one, so we have to send them back in and have the oil tested. We've done that on a lot of them.
Do we have many that, I mean, where there's 3, when I go around town, I've looked at a number of poles, there's 3 transformers, and I know that if you're at McDonald's, you have to have that. Do we have any of those that are hanging that could be removed and utilized? Because they're not really performing.
If there's a 3-pot installation there, it's there for a reason. There's 3 phase going to something.
Okay. And I realize that for like a McDonald's and some places which are restaurants, so it's just the pole that's by my house, I've always questioned that one. I mean, I think that one time there was a concrete plant there, and they probably needed 3-phase. But if it's not there and not being utilized, why is it there?
Well, the Russo house had a,
That's the Russo house I'm
yes,
talking
it
about.
had an elevator.
That's an elevator, that's a 3-phase elevator.
I've not looked at it, but I'm guessing it probably is.
Wow. Okay.
The more you know. Didn't say an elevator there.
I'll need this. I may need one soon.
Any questions on electric revenues or expenditures? Okay. So this slide shows a month-to-month comparison on what we pay for our power. The yellow being this fiscal year, gray being last fiscal year. July and August, if you look at the top, you can see was paid less this year than what we did last year, and in September we paid more. It's higher compared to last year.
Is our September number a draft, like an estimate? Is that what, or is
So
that-
the September that we paid is a true-up for July and an estimate for August.
Okay. I didn't know if that was gonna change slightly up or down.
This
Depending.
slide shows the cash leaving our hands. So
Oh, okay.
the $409,000 was our bill that we paid in September.
Oh, okay, now I get it.
expenditures year-to-date are $133,000, leaving us a surplus of around $25,000. Again, the next slides are the details within those categories. Again, some of the expenditures are running a little high. In general insurance, we pay one time a year, so it's gonna be around the 100% mark. The backhoe lease, summer capital improvements, it's a one-time per year payment, so it's at 100%.
Yeah, say that again.
So general insurance.
Okay, talking about expenses.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so general insurance page 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that,
So it's 0.97 on that one,
yeah,
Keep going.
and a full whack.
there it is. Yeah, right in the middle.
Okay.
General
Yeah.
insurance under miscellaneous.
Yeah.
Drove that up. That's a one-time payment.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then the backhoe lease on page 13, that's a one full out too.
I do wanna note the primacy fee, I did under budget on that, on the expenditure side, but I also under budgeted on the revenue side, so the revenues come in should offset what we went over on the expenditure side. Right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, if you want to reserve. Right here. Go down a little bit more. There's no revenues at this point. Expenditures, we do have 31,400 coming out. That's for the new well design. That's engineering fees, that's part of the ARPA grant. So we will receive the revenue reimbursement on September numbers. And it'd be $31,083. So that shows negative 31,000.
Yeah. So that- Okay.
My question is for Mark, I guess, at this point. Mark, at the last meeting, it was indicated that we had gotten everything for the water meters. And the water meter on the corner of South Grand and Butler, has that one been replaced? It looked to me like it was still running.
A water meter?
I mean, not water meter, the hydrants. You
Oh,
said
they
you
were
had gotten all the
supposed to-
stuff for the hydrants.
They were supposed to shut it off. Is it still running?
I didn't look
Must
at
not
it
be-
today.
Okay, they were supposed to cut that shut off.
And then that's getting ready for repair then.
It's probably gonna replace it.
Oh, okay. Because that was running a considerable amount of water. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so moving on to the sewer fund. So revenues year-to-date, we're at 202,000. Expenses, 126,000, giving us a surplus of around 76,000. And then looking at the details within each category, and which is kind of, yeah.
26 there.
So a few line items
Okay.
high, again, the general insurance is gonna be high, because
Yeah.
one-time payment. Workman's comp, we can get most of it at the beginning of the year. The pools, it's running high, and I'm sorry, I did not pull the details on what's in that. We do have vehicle maintenance, it's also running high. I think we purchased tires, but I'm not 100% sure, I'll have that detail for you next meeting.
Okay. In order. I'll give the committee some time to look over if there's any other numbers you guys have questions about. From from my side, it seems like everything's running pretty well on budget.
Okay, and then sewer reserve fund, same as the water reserve fund, the only expenditure so far is the $19,800, that's for the sewer upgrade engineering fees. That's also part of the ARPA grant, so we'll see the reimbursement and revenues for in September.
Cool.
And this is just a look at all the funds together, and it shows the beginning balance of each fund at the beginning of this fiscal year. You can see the revenues, the expenses again, and then where the fund balance is as of August 31st.
Does the committee have any questions or any comments or anything on the budget side? Okay. Appreciate it.
Okay, one more slide.
Yeah, one more slide. Oh,
Just wanna look at, this is
Oh,
just
the
that
power
MPUA
cost summary.
summary that.
I see.
Yeah, kind of a large report. I went ahead and put July to July, just for comparison. For those who do not know, or maybe a refresher, just to kind of go over, like the very first section that says capacity. This category is the demand costs. These are fixed costs associated with items like generation and transmission. This cost is generally sized according to peak requirements. So when our peak demand goes up, this cost will go up. The next section where it says energy, this reflects the variable costs associated with the hourly load. This cost is heavily influenced by fuel costs. The fuel costs are highlighted there in green. So you can see the fuel costs have come down since July of last year, so hopefully they'll stay low. And then, under local transmission, that is what we have to pay Show Me Power to transmit power through their lines. So for us to get our power to us, we have to pay Show Me Power for the use of their lines. So that's what that is. And then that last section, February relief.
Is that on a monthly average basis? Because I think you told us once that it actually changes daily. It can change on a daily basis.
That's gonna be the energy costs.
Yeah, the energy cost,
Mhm.
okay.
And under that February relief section, that's kind of a miscellaneous charge section, where they stick other things in there. But, the February relief, that's from the February 21 weather event that we've heard so much about. That was a 5-year, no interest loan the city took out, we still have 33 payments left to pay that off. And then that Sykeston and AECI true-up cost, that happens when MPEP is doing their year-end reconciling, and sometimes results in a true-up, whether it's positive or negative amounts, they add or deduct it from our bill. And then that reserve funding, that's, Sally spoke about that a few months ago, and what that is.
Yeah.
So then the very bottom, or the next bottom, is the all-in cost per kilowatt hours that we pay. So right now we're paying a little over 7 cents per kilowatt hour.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Looks like it went up from last July, 0.2 cents, which isn't significant, but it's still up. June was nice.
Right on down.
June was really good.
Yeah.
And one of the other things, if I can add in here, it's up in this top where we talk about peak demand.
Yeah,
So right here, this is last December, right here on this table.
yeah.
This is where we set our current peak demand, the 13.9. And so we get charged that for at least 12 months. But you can see up here, right here, the very top line here, this is what we're actually doing now.
Yeah.
So you can see, we hit 12.3 in June, but if we go a full 12 months and don't set something higher than this, we'll drop back down to the next lowest in that 12 months. Okay, so there could be a chance, knock on wood, if we don't have a significant, probably not at this point, heat spell, or a significant cold snap like happened last December, then if we can avoid that, then we'll have that demand charge come down.
Yeah, hopefully we see the energy consumption stay lower.
So that will
That's
lower
not just
our bills
consumption,
as
but
well.
I get it.
So, I just wanted to kind of point that out, that's where that is in this table.
Okay.
Again, I always go back to the peak problem in terms of when we get close to that. I just never figured that the majority of the people actually recognize that we're getting close to that particular point, because we have no good signal that goes out to the community that says, hey, now turn off everything, and we've talked about this over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can put it on town screen and things like that, and
Well,
try to
I
get the
go
message
back-
out there, but it's a matter of, it's usually a range of time is kind of, I think, a big problem.
Well, it's always the 5, 6 o'clock part on the weekdays, but
Yeah.
again, I mean, there are cities that have, like in Arnold, Missouri, there's a speaker system, and I know you said we don't have a speaker system. It says we're hitting a peak demand. Everybody in the community can hear it, and everybody, I don't know that everybody, but a majority of people knock down. And there's no way that we can implement that on a speaker system, but I still believe we could hit that with a strange siren. I mean, the sirens go off at a particular time every month. And if it goes off any other time, I think I say why. And that would be a signal to me, or especially if the sirens could have a different sound to them, a beep, beep, beep sound or something.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That can't be done?
I don't think our system can do that now, our current system.
Our current system is only set up for a single awful tone. In order to get any type of different tone, it would have to be programmed differently. But then the siren system we have doesn't have the capability of being programmed. We currently have 9 siren locations in the city. I'm working with Sally and another company on a bid proposal to eliminate 7 of those. Well, actually eliminate all 9 that we have now, and put in 2 that would give us a wider range of coverage. We're just exploring options with how to get that done, and that new system would allow for audible alerts, peak alerts. You can play Christmas music if you wanted to. You can do about anything you want with it, and you could do mass announcements like that. But the way it stands now, it's just a matter of getting that project completed. If you want to come by sometime, I've got I can show you the full workup on it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, audible alerts would be nice, but yeah, until we have that system in place, I don't think setting the alarms is, gonna bring our peak down, but it will get people asking questions.
Well, and one of the, I mean, as I go around the community and talk with different people, one of the noisiest complaints is the price of utilities. I mean,
Yeah.
it is on everybody's mind right now.
Well, when you sent it out last month, was it last month you sent out on Facebook or something that we were approaching a peak in the.
Right. Oh, a warning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did people reply to that? I mean, how was the,
Well, we didn't, I
Yeah,
have
we
no
didn't
way
have-
of knowing other than to know that we didn't set a new demand.
so we listened, somebody listened, I think, hopefully.
Hopefully, but I mean, we
That's
don't have a
right.
way to gauge that
Yeah,
directly.
there's no way, yeah.
Did we have a peak alert last? I don't remember. I know other
We
people
had
did,
one.
but they're approaching.
Yeah, we had a warning,
A
Okay.
warning, yeah,
a people at warning. We've had 2 this summer.
yeah,
Okay.
we did.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. How the heck, I can't even, I don't even remember seeing that, because I was trying to look at it, from
Gotcha.
a certain standpoint.
It just,
But I
you know,
mean, yeah, I mean, it's always an issue. We're never gonna reach 100% of folks.
well, no, but still, how, you know,
But they work in other communities, and they would work here. If it's I mean, I don't carry a phone, so I don't hear those kind of things, and I'm not sitting by a computer all day, so I don't recognize that. It has to be something that,
July
like,
26th, that's the last one I
Mr. Chase has mentioned was,
I do remember that, actually. I did see that. I was on a text alert.
Yes, yeah, it went out text alert, it went out Facebook, it went
Yeah.
to local media sources, yeah. So,
Yeah, I think Rollin was really close to setting one, because they were all hands on deck,
Right.
you know, trying to really set things down. And I think they had a brownout at one point. My brother
did
did
they?
it, yeah.
and we're fortunate.
Yeah. But, okay. All right, want to move on to item B?
So, a quick update on Acceleron, so this is the company for the prepay system. Where we are with them, recently they've been working on setting up on their end credit card fees, so convenience fees, okay? So, and that's so that when we switch over to their, actual card readers, that everything will get routed like it's supposed to. We have testing going on this week to make sure that those payments get routed where they're supposed to go through the banks and everything. Assuming, and then so far it looks good, assuming all of that works like it should, then we'll be probably working on setting up, getting those actual components set up in the office, and we'll be looking at in the next probably few weeks. I don't wanna set a specific time, because every time I do things take 3 times longer than they should. But we will be moving toward launching at least 2 pieces of that system, okay? Because there were, I don't know if you guys remember, it's been a while since we talked about it, there were 3 components that the system was going to provide. One was the prepay, and I'm actually not recommending we launch prepay right now, because there are still some issues with that. But the other 2 pieces were online payments, so anybody could go on the web and pay 24/7, and the other one was a 24/7 automated phone system. So it would allow convenience for customers to make payments in those 2 methods. So my recommendation would be, assuming those payments route like they're supposed to, that we go ahead and launch those 2 components of the system and get those going, and then as soon as we have the prepay portion ready, then launch it later. So that's my,
is there a cost to the individual that's paying in any of those manners? Like we did the credit cards
Yes,
and we did
yes.
put the, does that cost then reflect on their bill, not the society's bill, the community's bill?
correct. Yes, just like last February, we started all payments, all credit card and debit card payments were gonna be handled by the customer, they're charged to the customer. And so this will continue that. So like if you walk into the office right now and pay your bill with a credit card, you'll have a $3.50 convenience fee.
Right.
And it will be the same way whether you pay your payment online or over the phone.
Okay.
That's just for using credit card like anybody else
Correct.
does.
Correct.
I'm excited about the online bill pay. I think that's a big one. I think a
Now,
lot
like I said,
of
it's not the
people
whole
would do
system,
that.
but it's at least
Yeah,
2/3 of it and gets us closer.
Yeah. And alleviating the office from the 24/7, like,
Yeah.
call-in is a big thing, instead of calling and routing it through the police.
Oh,
Or
right,
something,
right,
after
yes.
hours.
Well, but I mean, that's just it, they don't take payments at the police department either, so
No.
it's not,
That's not that go through the police department, not payments.
do what?
That's what I was just go to the police department.
Right,
not
but-
payments.
Right,
But would they be, now, I guess that's a question, if somebody does have an outage, would they call the number, or would they still
No,
call the
they
police?
still call the police
They still call the
department.
police department,
yeah,
okay,
because they're not gonna get a live body,
okay,
they're not gonna be,
it's gonna,
yeah.
okay,
And the best that system will do is, if this is an emergency, hang up and call.
okay,
I mean,
okay, that makes, I was
Yeah.
thinking since it was a utility number in question,
That's
saying
right.
that, you know, if it, like, hey.
Right. And it will be a separate number, it'll be its own number.
Okay.
That we'll put out there.
That's
publicly.
fine, makes sense.
Along the question of stuffing envelopes, which we are no longer allowed to
That's
do.
next, right? Uh-huh.
Okay.
So if
Jumping the
nobody
gun.
has,
Jumping the
anybody
gun,
have any
John.
questions about this other piece before we talk about, okay? Okay. Do you wanna talk
Okay,
about
we
that?
are still working on, the system to email bills, which will help a lot with the stuffing of the bills. Encode is still working on the back end to get it set up. They're hoping to deploy the software onto our system sometime next week. So if that happens, we can start testing those and make sure that they're gonna email properly.
Are you guys gonna be okay with trying to launch two pieces of this system?
That's why I don't wanna say for sure when things might launch.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, that's a lot happening in the course of like
Yeah,
a
man,
month.
it'd be awesome, if we could get it going and it works.
Yeah.
It'd be
Okay.
amazing.
Another question that came up, the discussion I had, and that is if there's a payment where the person doesn't pay on the right time. They don't make their payment by the due date for some reason, and that may be by accident.
Right.
So is there any method where that can be justified in terms of, oh man, I mean, I forgot, I thought this was like a birthday card to one of my grandchildren. I never left the house, but I thought it did. And they never got it on time. So that was an oversight on my part. Do we have any agreements on oversights that, or is it just a penalty and a hookup and you just have to pay the?
Yeah, we don't have any kind of waivers for that, yeah.
Is there any way when a person, when they're stuffing, when they're collecting all the money, oh, this person usually pays on time, but this time they didn't, do we have a way of calling and trying to, I mean, this is a humanitarian type of comment, right? So therefore, I know I'm probably 50% here, but sometimes that's just awkward.
Right. So so here's the thing, not for penalties, so just late fees. We don't.
Right.
Okay,
But when it's turned off,
right.
then it becomes another problem.
Right. So we don't have anything like that happens for when the penalty happens, okay? But when we look at disconnects, we do, and our ladies in the utility office are looking at that every single month, and they do catch. If there's one that, well, we've never seen them on the disconnect list before.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Then yes, they do some outreach. They try to contact them and see what's going on.
But the penalty lies regardless.
Well, I mean, they'll try to, what do you mean the penalty?
The late,
Well,
The late fee?
no, the hookup,
Reconnect.
I mean, the reconnect.
Well, that's only
fee.
if you get disconnected. So when they're looking at that list, before we hit disconnect, they'll pull like that. They'll be, oh, what, Mr. Hembecker has never been late, and all of a sudden he's on our disconnect list. So they'll call you. They'll try to reach out and contact you. So they do that
Before you're disconnected.
before you're disconnected.
Yeah,
That happened to
Yeah.
me several years ago. Somebody actually came in and was like, hey, you didn't get your bill. I was like, what happened? So I went and paid it,
Right.
saved me from disconnect.
I mean, I'm
But I
gonna blame
mean,
the post
we don't-
office, you know, so
Right.
they're.
Obviously, we can't do that for everyone who's on the disconnect list every time. But if there's someone that it's really, that's not, do you know what I mean? There's gotta be something wrong if we don't have their payment. They do. So.
So,
Any other questions?
Conditioner broken I had.
Huh? You what?
Is the air conditioner broken here?
They're conserving
It's
electricity.
3 million degrees. I'm like sweating. I know we were conserving electricity or not.
no, it's a contract.
Yeah.
There's
No,
no.
it is.
Business here.
I'm just saying, I don't want to. When it's ready.
Oh, I did have one question. So in terms of the Acceleron thing, you have the online bill pay and things like that. Is that also including the app I've heard talked about, like that kind of stuff?
So the app,
Where you could see or is that just on the reach and stuff?
so when we launch the prepay, then that part for other utility customers will launch at the same time.
Sure,
But it won't launch now.
okay,
Okay. You'll be able to go online and pay your bill,
yeah.
but you won't be able to go look at the bill just.
Yeah, or like see the energy consumption that I have. Okay, yeah, I was curious on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
On those three things. So fingers crossed, everybody, that by the time we meet again, we'll have yeah,
It'll be launched.
okay,
Excellent.
all right. You want me to go ahead to the next item?
Yes, that's
Okay.
fine.
So the next items right now are just informational, just so that you guys are aware. So the MPUA annual conference, September 27th through 29th, I have signed up to attend that. I did include the conference schedule in your packet, just so you guys have an idea of the types of topics that I'll be sitting in on and bringing home information on. Then there was some conversations last time about when the next meetings were for MPEP, which is our power pool. And so this number 2, the MPEP committee Plum Point participants meeting. Plum Point, okay, so the conversation we had about the reserves and building up the reserves so that we could purchase shares in different. Plum Point is one of the power generation stations that we currently get power from, and we're looking at purchasing ownership shares in, okay? Plum Point, you can see it if you go on the MPUA website. It is a coal-fired plant, okay? And so, like I said, this is one that we were working on those reserves for to lead up to a potential purchase. So that's a participants meeting for, MPEP coming up November 1st. And then I think last month I had shared that they were looking tentatively at October for the next actual MPEP committee meeting. They've actually finally scheduled that for November 2nd. So I don't have any other details about those at this time.
Those are available to people other than just city administrators?
So I sit at the pleasure of the mayor. The seat is for the mayor, and so I serve in his capacity on this committee. I don't know about to the public. Probably if you want to pay the conference fee, I don't know. I can ask. If
Do they
you
serve donuts?
I have no idea, I've never been to one of their conferences, so yeah. Breakfast buffet, there you go. Yeah. Any other questions on that? All right.
All right, with the reports and updates done, we can move on to some of the business that we've done in the past year and some updates on that. So the water testing quote that we received, if you guys remember, we talked about that. We were given a quote of.
And it's in your packet.
Yeah, it's in the packet. Yeah.
There's a schedule.
Yeah.
There it is. So this was per well,
Yeah. So.
$36.91
Yeah, so
per well.
$36.91 per well. And there was some talk that you guys might want to go ahead with that. Go ahead and test something and run a full suite. If desired, I will say, as you heard from Josh last time, that our water has come back, typically exceptional. But, with movements and changes in the current of the flow of the water, sometimes a little residue gets kicked up, and that water, that may discolor the water. But it is still on the table if the committee wanted to recommend any kind of additional testing for what we are doing. It is up to you if you want to. You can make a motion to recommend that to the alderman, if you so choose.
I think his presentation was quite complete, and if individuals want to test something at their home, then I don't know that that's the city's problem, but I think what his explanation was quite good. I mean, I had to test it when I had Camp Zoe, and I had to test it every year, and it was out of my pocket.
Okay. I was told, Donnie gave me a call today. He said, he's willing and able to test it. He says it would take some time out of their schedule. They have a pretty busy schedule already. I think he said he had some 20 work orders, still trying to figure out and still trying to catch up on. But we could do this. So the option is there. But if I don't have a motion to move or if I don't have any motions or anything to do an additional test, we can move on. Okay. All right. Outside the city utilities. This is a bit of my fault, talking to the aldermen. I did let them know about your concerns, albeit a little later. They did want to, they do want to meet, they do want to have a workshop. What they would like to do is have you guys possibly come to the next alderman meeting on the 26th. And they can have a closed session to see what your guys' thoughts and arguments are, and we can have a sit down and talk this out. To see where we want to go with outside utilities, because I let them know that, you guys don't know where to go for an additional, I told them you guys were ready to send up the same recommendation. So they want to meet and have, talk and have a workshop. So would you guys be open to come to the next alderman meeting, which is the 26th? It is not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after, to sit down with the alderman.
Sure. What time do we need to be here?
Would be, well,
Those sessions are usually after.
they're usually after the meeting. I would say.
We don't know what the agenda's going.
Yeah, we don't know what the agenda's looking like. I would say.
When does the meeting start?
Six.
Yeah, meeting starts at 6.
So sometime around 6 or 7.
Is that gonna be a
Yeah,
large
I would
room,
say-
so we have to have a
Kyle.
different place?
I thought you have to have a reason for a closed session.
Yes,
Yes.
Well, what would this reason be?
would be, and I won't be able to
It's
pull it
like,
off the
it's
top
like
of my head.
statute reason. It's
Yes,
just- yeah.
yes.
So what would this qualify?
I don't
Why
have that
a clo-
off
I
the
don't
top
have
of
that
my
off.
head.
Yeah.
But why would it well then why have a closed session? I thought that there was
Because-
specific reasons.
Because there are legal issues, that we would need to consult with our attorney concerning territory outside of city limits and providing utilities.
Yeah, so it's privileged consultation with an attorney.
But, so is the people that this is going to involve gonna be there? The people from outside that are having the issue with
No,
this?
No.
this is with the utility committee and the board of aldermen.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about, different legal aspects of this, what the consequences are and what is available to us. So that way we do not, have motions and recommendations pushed forward that could cause legal issue. So, but,
I'll be there for sure.
yeah, so I would say it's, if you guys wanted to arrive around 6:30, I don't think we've ever had a meeting, go less than 30 minutes besides maybe one. Like, so, I would say if you guys arrived around 6:30, there'd be some business to attend to before we get to it, then we could have the closed session. That way we can hammer out what we can do moving forward. And does anybody else have any questions about that? Does anybody have any scheduled conflicts possibly? You have one?
Yeah, I'm on vacation that week.
Okay, I understand. You can't call in? No, I'm just kidding. No.
You can shoot an email over, and if any questions, concerns he has, and we can address those there as well.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if he wants to provide this in advance or something, if you had specific questions, unfortunately, it wouldn't be part of the conversation, that's the bad part, yeah.
We still have a quorum with the utilities.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of nice.
And we can send
I
an email
appreciate you
back.
guys coming to every meeting.
I
We've
don't know
had
about in
other.
closed session.
Oh, fair.
You do all the donuts and those.
I will bring donuts. I will. I will. Yeah, you can write it down. I'll bring donuts. I'm gonna make them, I'll make a, put that on there.
Not stale ones
Fresh.
Okay. I'd like to.
I don't think you want my homemade donuts. I'll probably be charged. I've never made donuts before.
He shows up with hamburger buns, like, here you go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, with the whole kind of, an apple core through hamburger buns.
Sugar icing.
And just hot dog buns for Long John's with chocolate icing on top. All right. Sorry about that. We'll get back on topic here, and we'll move on to a questions and comments section. If the utility committee or anybody in the audience has any kind of questions or comments, yes, sir.
Can I get up and address them?
Sure.
Okay. My name is Frank Rowie, and we've lived in Dent County for over 30 years. We moved down here in '93 on Highway 19 North, and in 2009, I put in solar panels with the assistance of Crawford Electric, and became a net metered account with Crawford Electric with the help of Mike Biggins, who was an engineer with Crawford Electric. We sold the house and moved to Salem in 2021. In January of this year, I signed a net metering agreement with the city and obtained a permit to install solar panels. I worked on them, and they were turned on June the 30th of this year. They were inspected by Mr. Nash and Jared on July the 5th. And minor corrections were made by July 15th, and Jared okayed the system. August 1st, I got an electric bill, and no credits were issued on that electric bill. It was about 334 kilowatts of energy that I produced, but it was never reflected on my bill. So I paid the bill, not wanting to be disconnected. The next month, September's bill, I produced about $66 in net metering credits, and again, it was not deducted from the bill. I talked to the city administrator, and she believes that she is right and the net metering is working fine. Having been a net metered account for 10 years, I believe that the net metering account is not working at all. The name of the account is net metering. I do not have a net meter. None of the solar panel people, the four that are in Salem, have a net meter. So they can't see at their residence what's being produced. They have no idea. And that needs to be corrected. And then the city can do the readings from the two-way net meter. I have a handout here. You have to share a little bit because the printer ran out of here.
It's all right.
Frank, you had $66 in credits when?
Pardon?
You had $66 in credits when? September?
The September bill, yes.
So when you look at our meters, and I had looked at your meter, it has an error on it.
Yes.
So it goes from the numbers 88888, and then it's got, usually the next thing that comes up on my meter is kilowatt hours consumed.
Right.
Yours has an error message
Right.
up in the front. Is the error message where the amount of electricity feeding backwards would be
Yes.
recorded?
Mr. Nash has told me that the error message is indication by that meter that it's not giving any reading, but the power is flowing upstream. So power is flowing from my solar panels
Okay.
back upstream,
So-
but it's not giving any reading.
So, Mr. Nash, if I looked at that meter and I were to say why the error, is that a programmable change that needs to be made on the meter? Is that a programmable change that needs to be made in the office for that error message to go
What that
away?
meter is saying is whether there's power going through it,
The wrong way or the other, okay.
One way or the other.
But those two
So
numbers.
if it's seeing it coming through it the other way, then that's where you get the error message, cause on most meters, you don't want to see reverse power flow coming back on your system.
Right, so is that a programmable change in the meter?
Yes,
Why can't that be done then?
so we're gonna get it done. I'm just waiting for the guy with the company come down here. I've talked to Frank 5 or 6 times about this. I'm waiting on the guy from the company to come down.
This is the
He's gonna
company
look-
we bought them from, that we had all the initial
Yes.
problems with?
No,
Oh,
this is the metering company.
Okay,
They'll come down and they'll reprogram this meter. It will show, forward power flow, reverse power flow, and I believe it's called cumulative. Cumulative will be what, is going to be how it sees whether he has used more or produced more.
which would be just the difference between the two numbers,
Yes.
consumed and provided back.
Which is the actual net meter.
Right, I understand that. So, when we look at, I'm sorry for taking some of your time. When I look at, how many people do we have in our town? 4, 5, 6, 7?
4.
4. So, the software that's supposed to do the calculation on this, I don't know how to adjust that may be a problem. But that's only 4 people we're looking at that could be hand calculated, right?
Well, if I look at the net metering, and see, Frank and I have talked about this, and I'm trying to get clarification from NextGrid on this. When I pull up his meter and read it, and I look at it, I can look at his meter on a daily basis. And every day, it gives me a 30-day net and a 30-day usage. NextGrid says that the 30-day net is what he's actually charged for. And it's already calculated the usage from that, and that's what the charge is. And I've asked him to explain it to me. I haven't got an explanation on that yet.
Well, to me.
Now, with Encode, another thing that he's asked for is, can the net part of that be on his bill?
Yes, I believe it's mandatory that
And,
on the
and
bill that I know what I'm paying for.
I don't know.
Well, there was one thing when I walked to your house, Frank, and I looked in your shop where all of your electricity is recorded as to what you received from the solar panels.
Right.
That's a number, that's a real number, that's created from the panels themselves.
Yes.
When I look at the next number after air, I see what you have had flow into your house that you're being billed for. The difference between those two numbers, again, is the net metering. I mean, that's what, why?
Okay. Because what he's producing, so if he has something on his system that says he's producing X kilowatt hours, okay?
Right,
Then you still have to take away what he's using of that first.
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
have to.
The difference.
Yes,
Right.
Right.
I agree.
But then you take that smaller number from what he's using from the city, and that's your net metering.
okay, yeah.
So you have
That's
to take
what's
away
on
what
the
he's
handout
using
is
first.
the actual reading on the 3rd page is the actual reading from the city's meter, from the city's computer. These are the net, what I supplied as net metering.
Okay, I don't have that, so I don't know what you're looking at.
I don't know how to give you one.
So-
There you go. Oh, here, sure.
So this is
Do you need
something
it to
that,
follow?
this is something we just have to have the people that generated this meter put that air, get that air thing out of there and have a real number there. That will tell us the whole story.
They'll have to reprogram it because they've got, the meter itself is calculated. What he's wanting to see is the calculation.
Yeah.
So they're gonna reprogram that meter
And that could be
where he
all.
can see those actual figures.
Yeah, and so that's,
So it shows it on the display.
that they're
Plus,
just,
he's not seeing it on the display. When
Yeah,
he was
no.
with Crawford, their meters were evidently programmed where he could see that on the display.
yeah.
And those that we have are not, they can be, they're just not.
So the hang-up is with the people that supplied us with the meters getting out here and doing that. Because Mr. Kernirk has been in front of this group many, many times. And he's had his solar panels, I would say, 5 or 6 years. And he has probably never had any benefit from having them, dollar-wise.
Other than his reduced
Yeah,
electric bill.
yeah, it does reduce his
Right.
bill.
Yeah, he may not get a payout back, but it reduces his electric bill, what he owes to the city, because it reduces what he's using. for
Yeah,
the
he
city.
he uses
He's-
more than he
He's
supplies.
getting credit for what he's using,
That-
just like
but-
I am.
But it's never getting anything that's above and beyond what he's using.
Correct.
No.
That's the
Correct.
problem.
What,
Well,
Well,
not a problem.
that's not a
Ju-
problem.
Yeah, it's not a
That's
problem, it's
built.
just the size of his thing.
I know, but I mean, the people that put in solar panels are basically wanting, hey, you know.
You wanna
well,
go to a net zero.
that may be
I
what
wanna go
they're
to net
wanting,
zero.
but that doesn't, unfortunately, most of the systems that get installed don't ever reach that.
Yeah. You'll never be at a point where.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the size of your solar
Right,
panel.
it does depend on
And
the
then the
size.
credit you get is based upon avoided fuel costs.
Right, right.
So like, you know, the city charges a certain, well, I guess
Right.
it doesn't matter.
It's at the bottom.
Well, we're
no.
forgetting about the transportation, but I mean,
Yeah.
if I put in a large enough panel, which I see some of them going down 72, that are huge panels,
Oh, yeah.
they've gotta be generating, and I know one person that I've talked with many times in Rowlett, he definitely generates more than he consumes on many seasons, maybe not the winter seasons, but definitely on summer seasons. And he gets a dollar benefit back from Rowlett on that.
Right, it's possible, yes, it's possible. What I'm saying is, most of the systems that get installed on homes.
Yeah,
do
I
not
agree there.
generate.
I don't know that his system
Right,
is
and I
like
don't- I
that
don't know
or
either.
anything.
So,
Mr. Gannett has a 5.13 kilowatt system,
Right,
mine is 7.2.
okay,
So he cannot generate as much power as I can.
right. And he's not generated enough to get to
Yeah,
that point
he's
where he
never
gets a
had.
check from us.
Well,
And here's.
I believe he would be,
Well, but here's the other thing, according to state statute, if you're generating, as a homeowner who has a solar system, and you're generating more, let me back up, not generating, because there's a distinction there. You're putting more back on the city's system than what you're using from the city system, then yes, that's a credit on your bill, but you're not gonna get a check.
oh, I don't want to check.
Okay, but I wanna make sure that everyone's
Yeah,
aware of that. because
I'm
there's a
with you on that.
distinction. So, right.
I don't want, and one thing that also everybody needs to know is that the surcharge, or
Service
the
availability.
$8 fee, which is the availability charge, can never be touched by any credit
Sure.
or anything that I'm doing.
Yeah.
That $8 stays whole all the time.
Yeah, I agree.
So it doesn't matter how much power I produce, I can't take it away from that $8.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if I were looking at solar panels to put on the house, I would definitely be
Yeah.
looking at a system large enough that I could probably feed my home and maybe shove a little bit back, but I'm not gonna put some gigantic system out there with the idea that,
This has been
I just wanna
especially-
kinda get a match somewhere
It's
along
been
the
an
line.
especially sunny month in June and July.
Yeah,
And I am able
If it gets bad.
to produce a maximum of 30 kilowatts a day more than I'm using. So I'm using power all day long, but I'm putting another 30 up to the city.
I understand what you're saying, but I've not seen those numbers in detail, so
Okay. And the last thing is that, about 6 months ago or whatever, the committee here, put back a buyback rate of 2 cents a kilowatt hour for adjusted fuel costs.
Fuel rate, yeah.
That Mr. Nash tells me that number changes every month.
yeah,
Yes.
it does.
And so you can't say that you're going to pay 2 cents when it's 2.6 something for
well,
last month.
you could do a year average, or you could do the peak for, I mean,
Well,
there's a way of working out a fair number there.
Yeah, just what the adjusted fuel cost is every month.
Right, but it only comes into play if you put more back on the city system
Right.
than you pull out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think
so
mine is-
far, we haven't had one do that.
I did.
Well, okay.
And why is there a debate there?
So hang on, I
Why-
have
why
a
is-
question. So you said your system is a 7 point what?
Pardon?
You said your kilowatt return is a 7.1? 7.1,
7.2
Kilowatt hour.
kilowatts.
7.2?
Yes.
Okay, so with that 7.2 kilowatts per hour, per day,
Per hour at the max, it'll never get to 7.2
Yeah.
Okay.
because of humidity in the air, clouds.
Angle of the rays, all that stuff.
It'll never, the highest I've seen the meter read is 6,900 watts. At noon,
Yeah.
exactly at
Right
noon on a
time,
sunny
yeah.
day. But I would just like to change the buyback rate to the actual avoided fuel costs rather than 2 cents.
Well, I think that when we were talking about this before,
That's what you guys left it.
That's what we did.
I think the contract says the board of fuel costs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they
And
did
that's what we
change it
did,
to
we
2
changed
cents.
it to the,
Yeah.
to whatever the,
The
yeah.
avoided fuel costs.
Cause I think it was at a set rate.
Okay.
No.
there was a
actually, it
discussion
never
about
Okay,
transporting
now I remember.
versus what we paid. We had a
Yeah.
transport cost and we had
I can
a
give you
kilowatt.
the,
Need to go back and look at
Yeah, I
that.
if you don't mind, I can give the, I have the code up that we have here. So under 515-680, it says if the electricity generated by the customer generator exceeds the electricity supplied by the utility, shall be credited for the net value of the electrical energy delivered to the utility billing period at the utility's avoided fuel cost. So at the utility's avoided fuel cost,
Yeah,
which is
that's fine.
monthly.
That's,
Yeah, so-
that's all I'm asking.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't want it at 2 cents, and
No, we do, yeah, yeah.
that's my thing, and the only other thing, we have a disagreement of whether the net metering is working right.
Okay. If we can get some
Mr.
more
Nancy told me
numbers,
repeatedly, he can't take my word for it, that it's wrong.
And what I also did tell him was, and I'll share this with you because I'm not sure you will. When we get the new meter put in,
Sure.
when we have all this done, then we'll get the actual readings. If there is an issue with those readings, we will fix it.
Yeah,
Okay, you just said new meter, I thought we had the old meter.
yeah, once it's reprogrammed to show the
Yeah.
generated versus
the city
the,
meters are,
Capable of doing this.
Two-way.
Yeah,
yeah, so,
okay.
yeah.
Because I think there's gonna be more people moving in this direction as electricity goes out.
I think
And
so.
we need to start addressing this problem.
Yeah, I just want them to go, if nothing else, go to Crawford Electric and Intercounter Electric and, maybe see their bill of how they address, net metering. Or have,
I
on
don't
the
feel
internet.
really comfortable looking at, making any kind of decision based upon, like, unless I'm looking at your bill by day and like how much generation you have, like, but if we can get it on the meters and get some numbers down, then I'd be happy to, we'll change it.
Yeah, I just want to get,
Yeah, make sure.
The city administrator told me that she doesn't believe, that her
The
current billing
generation is-
program is capable of
And I
adding
don't know. I
4 or
don't
5
know.
lines.
Right.
Yeah,
of-
I mean, you guys have all seen the bills and how full they are, and adding one line even of extra stuff will kick it
Yeah.
into another page, and so
Well,
but
but-
that's a software issue.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and actually, we were only talking about 4 people, so it could be hand done
yeah.
on a bill, I think, for 4 people.
Right, if it's necessary, it could be handled.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice to have it so it would print out, but,
But, I don't want you to believe me, I go on the internet, go anywhere.
Sure, yeah, if there's an actual error, we'll get it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Are there any other questions or comments? Yes?
My name is Joyce. I retired and came back here last year. I've been here a little over a year and a half now. I keep bringing up to these different types of meetings, like our utilities and everything. So this recent bill on the little blue page is telling me that my trash is gonna go up, but yet my service is gonna go down. Cause I'm losing my recycle and everything. So recycle guy tried to explain it to me that I guess the yellow lidded cans are gonna go away and we're gonna get another can brought in. Why? I can go out there and spray paint that lid and save money right there for the city. I don't need to change trash cans. I don't know what's going on. I haven't read anything about it. So the head's shaking. I'm telling you what I got told. So the other thing is, last year, I went in and I did a research on the city of Salem. A little under 6,000, or right now we're a little under 5,000 people that live within the city limits. Out of that, 60% approximately of the population is either under the age of 18 or elderly on a fixed income. So that leaves us, what, 40% that's coming with money in as far as working. So with that, out of that, the average median income is 23,000. 23,000 to live on today is not very much. And these utilities keep going up, keep going up. I have never in my life, even living in a desert the majority of my life, have I paid an electric bill like I do here. And that's just my electric. It's almost $500 a month. I have a terminally ill husband, so I wanna address this hooting and hollering over the, horns about peaks. I live right by one. I don't think my, terminally ill husband wants to hear a blast off on that, except for if there is an emergency. I get the peak hours, but I don't need to be blasted to be told to, hey, watch during this time and stuff. There's other ways to do it. Believe me, a desert does it every day.
Would you suggest what that would be then for me, please?
And so, there's other ways to get that out there.
I'm just
These are the
asking,
peak
what would be
hours.
the other way that you're
Well, how'd they
suggesting?
do it in the desert?
How do they do that
Uh,
there?
They announce it every day on the news as they're watching what the weather's gonna be coming and let you know. And out there, they fine you. If you're running your water during the peak hours, like trying to water your yard, wash your car, you're gonna get fined, and it's not a pretty fine.
California?
Pardon?
Is this California?
No, it's Arizona.
And what about
So-
when Mr. Chase mentioned his thing with, an announcement on a future? Would that,
It's like, I'm sorry, to me, I like to never got my husband to understand what that was for, like with tornadoes. He didn't know, does that mean I need to take cover? Or does that just tell me that there's a possibility one's gonna come? I'm like, no, if that's blasting, you need to haul your hind in and hide. Because he never lived anywhere that had tornadoes. So for us to start adding this for everything else, if you have others who've never lived where there's tornadoes, that might be confusing to them.
but it's important that your life be saved from a sound system, but it's really warning you that there may be something that could really happen to you, and
Well,
your
yeah.
husband be crippled
And
even more.
That's different. An emergency, me shutting off electricity because I'm hitting a peak hour is not an emergency for that to blast off. I'm sorry, but that's the way I view it. And I think you might get a majority of the city people that feel that same way. No, I don't want
Okay,
that blasting off.
Let me,
So we can address that. I want to address other things.
okay.
So out of this, you guys keep raising the cost of our utilities. We get this $10 fee. I've had electricity, I don't know how long at that house, and all of a sudden now we get this $10 fee. Now this is going down, but the kilowatt hour is going up and everything. I'm just saying, you need to take a serious look at what your revenue lake is coming from and the money that these people have to work with and everything. It's a poor community. They don't have the ability to keep affording $500, $600, $700 bills, especially if they're on a fixed income like my mom is. If she's only making $1,200 a month and everything, and she's already living with her electric set to where her house heat is 79 in the day, at what point is an elderly supposed to risk turning that on and being in a reasonable, they can live atmosphere and stuff? So that's all I'm saying is, let's think about some of these decisions before we just jump and everything. That I am able to afford the bills. There's too many around me who cannot afford the bills. And the addressing of how we can, I'd rather talk to you but not tie up everybody else's on how to address it.
Well, I know speaking from, I've been on the utility committee now for a while, and I know that anytime we talk about an increase, we take in a lot of factors, and it's not just something like we just sit around and we're like, we wanna raise everybody, you know, and again, all we do is make recommendations to the board, and then they're the ones that vote for that, but
Well,
I can speak
I'm
to.
just saying, I keep
can
trying.
speak to the revenue in the city though, and you can see a huge, difference now compared to where it was, to where it is today, and hopefully in the future, with the way that the city is handled now, things will start to go back down, but
Well,
right
it's
now,
just
this
right
is
now,
where
though,
we're
the
at, trying to.
The people can't keep carrying it though. Every time they turn around, at some point, they can't.
We all in this room that
We
live
all
inside
live
the
here.
city, we
Yeah,
have to pay these bills too.
I remember
So I'm
when,
not exempt from it.
when I first came here, electricity was like 3 cents or something, and now we're we're twice that, or even more than that. And some of these raises are not the board making that decision, it's a decision, the rate goes up and then we're following that. I mean,
Yes.
if it goes up a .002 then our rate is automatically adjusted, because we're allowed to raise it by the supplier.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big difference between being a customer and a generator. You know, you cannot control the generating price when it's coming down the pipe. You have to pass that on.
Well, a lot of this is due to propane cost right now, or natural gas
Yeah.
costs.
Natural gas is what was the big one
Uh,
that.
Let's try to keep it a little, like, we're getting a little bit of crosstalk, but, I was gonna say, so, I just didn't want two people talking at once, sorry.
Well, I do have a question regarding, when did the trash rates kick in to go up to $18.50 and $18?
This current month.
Last
It's
meeting.
this,
Okay, and when were we getting notified? Because I got notified as my rate hit my
Right
bill.
after our meeting, we had our meeting and then that. letter came out.
Last month we raised it because that's
Because
when we
they
got,
raised-
that's
they
because
raised
they
it.
raised it, the company last month,
But,
that's when.
yeah, I got notified when I got my bill that it's going up.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying though, people on limited incomes, they need to know this before it hits, so they can start
Well,
figuring
we
out.
didn't know it until last
We
meeting.
didn't know it last month, our meeting, if they're not at our meeting, there's no way to notify them, I mean, that's the notification.
I have a question.
Okay.
On the trash service, we're gonna get half the service for an increase in rate.
Mhm.
What are we gonna do about recycling?
recycling's being talked about, on a few different places. I talked to,
We're gonna put the things
Ozark
back
Rivers
out?
Solid Waste, about a plan to try to work with not only, the county as well as, the Scenic River, what is it, the? Scenic Rivers Industry. So we're looking to try to possibly get, another trailer in for a site that we can actually have citizens dump, or, well, not dump, but, you know, recycle at a location.
Like we used to?
Yeah, because the way it was working, we had, a gentleman come in and basically tell us that we were not having anything recycled because of the amount of contamination in our recycling. So the issue was, is we weren't having a lot of recycling happening because people were using it as a separate trash can. And then beyond that, the cost of keeping curbside recycling, even when it's not working, was just not worth it. And their costs for fuel have gone up because our contract was, I think, a 3 or 4 year contract. So it hadn't been changed in the 3 or 4 years, and you've seen what inflation has done in 3 or 4 years. So they adjusted for inflation, they adjusted their contract with us for that inflation on the fuel costs that they have to incur. And that's why you saw the recycling go away and the cost still rise, which we were not happy with, and we asked for bids and looked for other services, but we're only able to get that one.
Can we have our own trash service?
Not in the city.
currently.
Why?
Because that's how the city codes are set up
Yeah,
currently.
city and state codes, I think.
Yeah.
Are
It's,
set up.
well, it's city.
Is it city only?
I just had a question about, what is the is it a problem with the rate they're getting for bulk recycling? You know, for aluminum, for paper, and is all of it being paid for? Are they getting money for it, or is it becoming a negative?
It's a negative, and it's because of contamination by our own citizens.
Yes.
And I live in a block where, I've talked to the gentleman that hauled that recycle many, many times. I wanted to even follow him once to the, and he said it's thrown out on a concrete slab. They look at it and they say, nope, we can't do this. They pick it up, they put it in another truck and haul it to where they're recycling it.
Mr.
So you
Rivera,
just
I-
paid them for nothing.
But I was
Yep.
at that meeting when he spoke, and he said overall, the recycling dollar amounts are no longer as good as they used to be.
Yeah.
There's nothing for glass.
Right.
They can make zip on glass. So my question, when you guys are going to think about getting another recycling type of thing, is that gonna be charged to the customer? Is that free?
We don't know yet.
Yeah, we're, like, right now, what we're trying to do is we're looking into ways, I'm hoping not.
Because
And-
most
and-
things
and-
aren't free.
Yeah, because Well, yeah,
Very
most
few.
things aren't free, and we're working with, I'm talking to, there's grants available for those kind of things, where the school would possibly have, or the county is looking into those things. There's a few avenues that we could try, because there's federal grants to get people to recycle and to reduce and to reuse, that are provided from way higher up, and, so, we're trying to work with them on providing a service at a minimal to no cost.
So if we're
What we're
gonna have to,
trying.
if you do get that, and we have to take our recycling somewhere, I wanna opt out of it. Or a customer doesn't wanna do that, or can't do that, are they gonna be charged?
Here's the thing, if we offer an opt-out, then we can't guarantee a base number of people participating, and therefore can't guarantee a rate.
Well, so if everybody's already broke and
Well,
can't afford what's going on.
I'm just saying, that's how that type of thing works, to provide a service.
Then I think you should stop looking into it.
Okay. Can I
Don't waste
share
your
what we
time.
have right
But
now?
we-
So right now, for those who are interested in recycling, what Alderman Williams mentioned with Scenic Rivers Industries, they accept newspaper, magazines, cardboard, and aluminum cans. Okay, so those can be dropped off at their location, and so that's what can be done here in town right now, so.
And that's free.
Yes.
But you guys are talking about going with other people also. So if that is gonna involve a fee onto the residents of Salem.
So at this point, we've not decided on anything. yet
Nothing
we
is free,
propose.
Sally.
No,
So-
I'm not saying it is.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we've not decided on anything to propose yet.
But you've got people here telling you, her, me, everybody. Everybody is tired of the fees going up and the services going down. Okay, so before you guys just say, oh, it sounds like a great idea, might not be such a great idea.
Understood. And you've attended enough meetings, you know it would go through committee
Yeah,
meetings
it
and be
would come through
public
here.
before it ever got
If
voted
we
on,
had,
so.
if we have any plans that come forth, it'll be
Wow, that's
shown
good.
in front here, voted upon here, and then recommended to the board, and if they see fit, so.
One thing, I would like to reflect back to, it was before we had the recycling. Walmart would not take our bins to go there. That would be a very convenient place for us to go when we go shopping and dump our stuff there. It went to the upper elementary.
And
And
I
at
think
the
that's
upper,
a no-no. I don't think
The upper
anybody should be on
elementary-
a school property.
I agree, because the trash that was there, I put my stuff in, but many times they were full, and therefore the trash went in, but it fell out. So I don't think the upper elementary would like it. And then you're faced with the fact that the city is hauling the stuff with 2 employees, gasoline. There are so many things to consider when we do our recycling. And I love recycling. I wash everything,
Watch
I
the
clean everything.
documentaries. Find out where the recycling from the United States goes.
Well,
That, the Philippines, India, the ocean. It's all shipped over on cargo containers. We've been fed a line for years. We're not contaminating our landfills with supposed recycling, but we're shipping it off to the other countries. And then we're paying for this. I don't want to pay for this anymore.
okay. All right, well, I'm gonna shift any other questions? I just wanna kind of progress, we've kind of shared and we're kind of circling back.
Quick
Would
question
you-
to what Joyce was referring to
Sure.
with the electric. I'm totally confused. Can somebody explain, because I've heard these 2 numbers about kilowatt hours, okay? I hear we pay, we meaning the city, 7 cents per kilowatt hour, okay, if that's correct, okay? But we are charged 13.9 cents because of that peak demand that we got locked into.
No.
Is that right?
No.
What are those numbers?
This, like, for instance, this month we were charged 7.31, about 5 cents per kilowatt hour in total.
Okay.
That's all in costs, so.
Well, I think if I'm correct, what you're asking, Lisa, is why then do we charge 13 to our citizens?
Yes.
So that's the cost of our infrastructure, our poles, our lines, that's our staff, it's our equipment, it's everything that we have to do and put the cost for to deliver that to your home.
That's not correct.
Excuse me?
That's not correct. That, we are funding the general fund in a large amount from the electric,
Yeah,
so
there is.
you're making money.
No, that's, no.
There is, yeah, well, there is a,
Sally,
this
that
year,
is-
this
No,
year.
I know there's an expense, of course there is. You've gotta charge a little bit more than you pay for the power, I get that.
Yeah, we do fund about 600,000 this month from the electric fund.
This year.
This year,
This
sorry,
year,
this
not
year,
this
sorry,
month.
not this
Not
month,
this
this
month.
year from the electric fund, which is about 8%
Okay.
of our total costs.
Okay, and then I don't wanna belabor it to death.
Sure.
You know how I feel about this.
Yep,
But when there was a 4% cost of living across the board, that's general fund. And what she's talking about, you look at our demographics, and you look at what the city did on the backs of these people. And you all got, alderman, city administrator, and others, got at least 30 pieces of correspondence on that, at least. And I heard from you only about don't do that. Because it would come from our electric fund. You don't need to be charging us 13.9 and then take, I know with the peak, we're locked into this, that supposedly. You're not telling us the truth. Done.
However, I'd like to address this to some degree. The amount of money that was coming out of the electric, which was supplying a number of other things, I don't know what that number was, 100,000 or something that we were pulling out to go to the general fund.
600,000.
600,000.
Right.
That is no longer gonna be coming out as we move forward, because part of that is gonna be addressed now with the 1% sales
yes,
tax.
we're
So we're
trying
trying to
down.
get rid of some of the stuff that was pulled out of the
For how
electric.
many years, John,
How many years what?
have they been trying to stop pulling from the electric fund? How many years, do you know?
Oh, I think we've been pulling from the electric fund for a large number of years. It's just with, we've got young people that are now in charge. I may be a little bit off base here, but some of the people that were in charge of these committees, young people like Mr. Williams and other people that are in some of the other committees, they're committed to this community. I think they love this community and they want this community to benefit and grow.
And what makes you think that, John?
Prior to that, I think we had a number of people in this community that had a selfish interest. And they were running it in a little different light than what these young people are doing. I think the young people are addressing a lot of our problems that were created many years ago, and we're starting to address them. And you could look at me and say, well, you're one of those old codgers that was there and did that. But on the other hand, I think I've always tried to fight for the people, and I know these young people are fighting for the people. And I know there's an increase. I mean, we're facing inflation, and there are a lot of expenses that are going up. I know we're a poor community. My thermostat is set at 82. I find it a little hard to sleep at 82, but by golly, I can do it. My last utility bill was $136. It sure in the heck wasn't any $500 or $600. When I take a shower, it's a short shower. I do a lot of personal sacrifice in order to keep my utility down. And I know some of you don't want to hear that, but we have to take some personal responsibility as well in terms of reducing our costs.
I've done a family budget for my entire life. Even on the very first slide, revenue has gone down, and power costs had gone down for a period of time too. You're expecting it to be extremely high coming up. Everything is going up. So does that mean you're going to reduce the expenditures that are unnecessary expenditures, just like everybody else would do when they're doing their own budget? We don't need new vehicles. We don't need, I can't remember all the stuff that was on the budget. Oh, the hydrovac truck. Don't need that $200,000 truck, okay? There's things that never get cut. Cut them. I mean, I would have to cut it. If I got a $700 utility bill, I'd have to cut something. And you're still doing $600,000 to the general fund. There's something wrong. And you had the fees go up for the $10, now it's $8, and the base rates, so you could replenish your
Reserve fund.
reserves, okay? The reserves got depleted, they're going up now, but we're paying how much a month to this MPUA to be a member? 13,000 something?
That's for the reserve,
Reserve.
to have the opportunity to purchase ownership shares
Yeah.
and have some,
Are you kidding me?
And with that, it would hopefully reduce the rate in the future. It would reduce the rate in the future.
Hopefully,
if we did
but
that.
you're
And not hopefully,
spending
it would.
taxpayer dollars
Mhm.
in an economy that people don't have money.
But you still have to look at the big picture. You still have to look down the road to where eventually this will pay off and it will pass on
But that's a whim and a
to all of us
maybe.
that still live here.
That's a whim and a maybe.
I don't think it
Do
is.
you know the future? I wish,
Nobody knows the future.
okay then.
If it's okay, like, are there any other topics that we're kind of moving into general fund, and we're moving into like 5 other different topics, if we've got one? Yes,
One
you got-
very specific question.
Sure.
Something came up, Stacy was talking about it, and I saw it in an article, I think, from the newspaper. Why were we buying wiring for the new McDonald's? Why is the city using taxpayer funds to buy wiring for a multi-million-dollar company?
Because they
How come we were involved in it?
They reimburse?
yes,
I don't care about being reimbursed, I'm asking how did we get involved? I'm just curious.
because it's our
You have to
utility
buy it.
system.
Yeah, it's our utility system, we have to buy wire to get it to that system correctly,
It was
and then they are
probably an
reimbursing us for that cost.
And that's neutralized when they pay us back.
Yeah.
That's fine, I just want to know
Yeah,
why
that's
or
how that
how
works.
we got involved in,
Uniformity
buying the
of
wiring.
product, I would imagine.
I knew that
right?
it was
The
a zero
wire-
match.
Yeah, it's a zero
Wire
sum.
is what's already on there, or the upgraded portion of that, because it's gonna be but it's all mute at this point because it's been,
Yeah, it's gonna be a bigger.
it's been reimbursed.
Yes and no, by city ordinances, we always talk about that, if you have a purchase over
What time you get the phone?
12,000, there are rules that are supposed to be followed, I understand it was for more than that, that's why I just wondered, and there was no
Yeah.
talk about bids or this or that, so I just wondered.
Yeah.
Because
What was
it's
it?
a pass through for a specific thing.
Okay.
So it's not ultimately,
Handle the step down transformers and all that, they need more power, it has to go up to 440 or whatever. The utility company has to do that, it's not wiring, it's the utilities equipment that has to be there to provide that amount of power.
right, it is, and so it becomes a pass-through cost. It's not the taxpayers' dollars ultimately. That's-
Right,
that's-
right, it got reimbursed, okay.
All right,
Basically, being a good neighbor, really.
yeah. Are there any other, questions or comments before I entertain a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Okay. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay. All in favor? All right, opposed? Thank you very much. This is your last one? Well, it was fun. I will still message you and send me
Sure.
here.